can you justify losing £900 a month? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you not keep the 900 and just pass it on to a management company?
Because there's...
What's up, my name's Samuel Leeds, and in this video, you're going to get some inside information on how to speak to landlords, how they think, why on earth would they pass you their house on a rent-to-rent, and what do you need to say to them to get the deal. Some of my viewers might recognize your face because you passed the property on to me. It was a rent-to-rent in London, and some people have said, why on earth would you pass the property on to some guy that you've literally just met that day? Why did you pass your property as a rent-to-rent onto me? That's the first question.
First of all, I didn't know you were doing a challenge, and later I saw it and I thought, wow, what's this guy doing with it? And then later I understood why like you were so keen on showing the tenants around later on, and I thought, wow, this guy has a lot of energy. He wants to show me he can do the management job already, and I liked you. And I liked your energy, I guess. And I mean, I do business with people whose energy I like, and who where I get a gut feeling, I go ahead. Even if it's not so logical, sometimes I follow my feeling. It's something I've learned to do through various experiences. And I guess that answers your question as well. Why did I pass the keys on to you before we even had a contract? I trusted you, and I felt like you showed me with that viewing, you showed me that you could do what you were doing, what you said you could do.
Yeah.
That's it, I trusted you.
Interesting you talk about energy, confidence, trust, things like that, because a lot of people think that actually in order to do business, you need to have a really established agency. I didn't come to you as an established estate agent. I came to you as an individual, and you actually told me later that you didn't like working so much with big agencies and you'd had some bad experiences. Is that something you mind talking about a little bit?
Yes. So you were one guy who I felt would be managing my property, and I thought, okay, I like this guy. He knows what he's doing. He's also good with people, because I could see it. And you actually got one guy to agree in front of me to rent it. So yeah, I thought, fantastic, 100% already. Hold on, what's the question?
My question was, why don't you like agencies? What? Because people think that, listen, people think that landlords, like you're a landlord, private landlord, they only want to, they say, why wouldn't they just pass it on to an agency? Why would they work with an individual wanting to do a rent-to-rent when they've got big established brands? It doesn't make any sense. That's kind of the question I'm throwing to you.
Okay, so there's pros and cons to having an agency and to having a one-person show. I've tried both in the past. I've had one person run things for me. I've had agencies run things for me. When I had agencies, everything was professional and we had contracts, but usually the contracts were biased against me as the customer. So if there were some damages, I would have to pay them, and I would have to pay a surcharge for a little thing. Like changing light bulb would cost me sometimes, I don't know, 300% because of the agency fees. In addition to the cost of the light bulb and the cost of the visit. So there were some hidden costs with agencies that I didn't like, that I experienced and I didn't like. And also when you deal with an agency, sometimes you see person A, sometimes you see person B, and sometimes you see person C because A and B are on leave. So you have to establish lots of relationships with lots of people. Yeah. And because I like to work with people, of course, my priority is to have a human sort of connection in business, not just working the numbers. And I thought with you, it would be, I'm just dealing with you, you're dealing with my tenants, they're going to be happy with you, and I'm going to be happy with you. And it would have been...
that kind of backfired on me because, and it's interesting because so many people think landlords want to work with big companies. I came to you doing a challenge, not for real, it was for real, but I was doing a challenge on camera, secret cameras, and I got the deal. But then once I'd got the deal, you found out, okay, actually I've got a company, and I passed the deal on to one of my team, and I told you, actually, can you deal with this person? And then you were like, actually, what happened after that? And how did that come about?
So I wasn't so keen on sharing this because, okay, my honest truth is I wanted to deal with you. because I liked your energy and I thought, okay, let's go for it. And of course, we'll have a 3-month break clause. I think you mentioned a break clause. Didn't show in the video, but you mentioned a break clause, and you said if it doesn't work, you or I can pull out after 3 months, and if we like it, then we'll keep going. So I thought, okay, the risk is for 3 months. Worst case is I will lose 3 months rent, but actually you were going to pay 2 months in advance anyway, or something like that. So I wasn't going to be risking too much, and from my feeling, it was going to work with you. And then you passed it on to someone in your team, and whoever that is, he was busy, and basically I wanted. So usually I manage my own properties myself. I like it. There's many pros in it. For example, I have much more control over my property. If there is a concern like light bulb is broken or whatever, I get to know about it first. It doesn't have to go through someone, and that someone might be on holiday or might be not up for letting me know, and things might build up. Whereas if the tenant asks me, it might take me maybe 1 or 2 days to fix it if it's not urgent, or 1 or 2 minutes to sort it out if it's urgent. But there's less people, and there's less of a chain. Yeah. So usually I manage things myself. Yeah, but when I have an agency, I guess one of the pros of having someone manage it would be that I don't have to deal with things like this. And I just got married, and I had my honeymoon, and I thought, okay, let's try this. Let's get this managed. As you know, it was advertised on Spare Room, so I wanted to manage it myself. I wanted to rent it out room by room. It had an HMO license, and I wanted to manage it. So you approached me to manage it for me. I already had some decision making to do because I was planning to rent it myself. And then when you came, you negotiated, and I thought, actually, yeah, why not? You will save me management time. I might earn less money, but you will save me some time, and I can enjoy my honeymoon stuff.
It's really interesting because sometimes people think as a one-man band or as a sole entrepreneur without a team, without backing, without a big website and brand, they think that they are almost discriminated against, and it's harder for them. But actually this is the opposite, because when I came to you as an individual, it's me, you were like, oh great, I want to work with you. You bought into me on that day. You gave me a rent-to-rent deal, which you were happy with, I was happy with. But then when it transpired that actually I'm a millionaire, I've got a big company, I've got a lot of staff, and I said, I'm not going to personally be dealing with this, Ivan, so I don't want you contacting me direct, like it's my team, it's this. And suddenly you're like, oh man, this is like a big agency, I don't really want this. I may as well just pass it on to an estate agent. So you wanted to buy into that sole entrepreneur, that one-man band that's got a great personality, a great energy, great confidence that you know is good, you know you can trust, which is really backward from what most people think, which is just crazy to me. Like that, I mean, why would a landlord like you do a rent-to-rent deal and receive a guaranteed rent? Because you just said that you'd be getting less money by passing it on to someone as a rent-to-rent. I told you at the time, I said, I'm expecting to make like 800-900 quid, I think it was from memory, a month from this. And you were like, I don't care. I just don't want the hassle. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, we went over it in the video. But happy to discuss it again. So I was going to get less money. I advertised it for 3,600 as a whole, or 650 per room, I think. So minimum, I was going to make 3,900. So I was going to make 900 less. At least 900 less from the potential. So I was going to make less money, but I was not going to deal with
bills. If I don't remember the figures as well as you do, because I've since then I've dealt with 1 million properties. But how much? You say you were going to be losing 900. Presumably that means I would have been making 900. Can you justify losing £900 a month? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you not keep the 900 and just pass it on to a management company?
Because there's security in it. So first of all, we had 3 months to work it out to see whether it would work or not. The property actually had some problems later, and I didn't know because it was a new build, but there was an infestation of rats in the pipeline. It wasn't even in the house, it was in the pipeline, but they were making scratching noises. So I had to deal with it. When of course I pulled out, so I was the manager. I dealt with it. It was expensive. I'm
glad that you had problems. I'm very happy to hear.
No, I had a few problems, even though it was a new build, and I had to deal with it. And had I not pulled out, I would have had to pay for it probably, or at least we would have come to an agreement. But I wouldn't have had to deal with like builders, people who like I had builders, I had pest control people. The tenants, of course, were not so happy with the situation, which is completely understandable. And of course, even though I was abroad at the time on some training, I dealt with it immediately. They were happy, and I'm forever grateful for their patience. But I had to deal with it basically. And if you were running it, then you would have had to deal with it and just update me.
Now, when we met on that day, and had we ever met before, by the way?
No, no.
Okay, so when we met,
I had no idea who you were.
and have we met since?
No.
So we met on that day. We didn't sign a contract, but we did get a handshake. So we got a handshake, we got the agreement. It was sometime later when it transpired that actually it wasn't going to be me, it was going to be my team. And you were like, oh man, I'm really sorry, because you're a man of your word and you're a man of integrity. When you said to me, you know what, I'm thinking I'm going to change my mind. How was I? Did I make it difficult for you? Was I a douchebag? Like, what happened?
No, I'll tell you the truth. You were you didn't respond on the day, and maybe not even on the next day. And I thought Samuel is so busy. Does it mean that he's not gonna change? He's not gonna accept my change of mind? But actually, you were just busy. And later you got in touch with me and said, no problem. Where shall I send the keys? And you sent me the keys. And you said, it's okay. I appreciate you. That's what you said. And I thought, all right, what a gentleman. And really, I thought, what a gentleman.
You know what, though? You know someone's character by how they end things. If you leave a job or leave a workplace or come out of a contract and you make it difficult and you're awkward at the end, that's someone's true character. And I think it really pays, even if you think, okay, this deal's not going to go ahead, to just be nice and to be reasonable, rather than saying, but you agreed this, and be difficult, because you never know when you're going to run into that person again, and you never know when you might end up doing a YouTube video with that person again over Zoom. You know, so basically it pays to be reasonable. You know, and I think we were reasonable. Would you consider now? What's your thoughts on rent to rent now? Because that would have been, I believe, your first rent to rent. Do you still think rent to rent's good? Do you think it's good for the rent to renter? Do you think it's good for the landlord? What's your view on rent to rent from the whole experience and from everything that you've learned since?
So I only manage my portfolio because I don't really have time for other things. And if anything, I would offload some of my properties to get more time to manage other projects. And I think I even said this in the video. It was going to be my first rent to rent, the first property I would give out, so that I have time for other projects. And other projects, I also meant marriage, I guess. I didn't say it. I didn't feel I needed to share it in the video, but this was one of my projects in the pipeline. Honeymoon. I think rent to rent can work because, okay, why? It can work because, okay, it's very similar to giving a property to an agent. And actually, your question is from a perspective of a landlord or from the perspective of...
From a rent to renter's perspective. So when I'm teaching people about rent to rents and when I'm doing rent to rents, I know what's in it for me. I'm going to give you a guaranteed rent and then I'm going to rent it out by the room. I'm going to keep the profit. So as long as I get the right property deals, I get the right price, you negotiate right, you're going to get some cash flow. Now, albeit you're going to have to manage the property, you're going to have to work. It's not going to be passive, but it could replace someone's income and it could get them started in property if they didn't have a lot of money. So that's what's in it for them. My question to you is, what do you think that it's a good offer to a landlord? Are there landlords? Because people say to me, oh, no landlord would do it. And the reason I'm happy to interview you is because you're a landlord that's willingly wanted to do it. And I know if I said to you, hey, I'll personally manage it, you'd be like, do it. You just don't be like this whole idea of working with like a corporate team or a faceless company with different staff and you're talking to someone different every time. I get that. But I'm just trying to understand, like, how do people approach a landlord to get a rent-to-rent deal? How do they do that? What's in it for the landlord?
Okay, as a landlord, I would want a rent-to-renter to offer me a clear agreement that includes what would happen when problems happen, when things go wrong. So who would be responsible for dealing with problems? Would there be a floating budgets to solve problems. Who would pay for the repairs? What kind of repairs would the landlords have to pay, and what would the renter pay for? Things like who would pay the cost of rubbish collection if there's big items to be carried away. Like if a bed is broken, who would pay for the removal, for example? Would it be the renter from their profits, or would it be the landlord? Because if the landlord will have to pay lots of things, then they're not getting a guaranteed rent of 3,000, let's say, because they're having to pay lots of things every month. So the guarantee needs to be strong.
Yeah.
And also what you offered was nice. Huh?
The break clause helped you a lot as well. The idea that, look, this is a 3 or 5 year contract, but if it's not working, and if I'm not paying you on time, and if I'm difficult, and if the tenants are like trashing the property and it's not, then you know that after 3 months you can fire me. And if I've broken my contract, and if I'm not doing what I've said I'm going to do the way I said I was going to do it, you can just take the property back, and I'm actually going to be liable for any problems or issues or mess. That seemed to really, and it's a shame that I didn't, we negotiated for a long time, back and forth, and I couldn't play the whole thing on YouTube just because it would have been too long. But this whole break clause thing, I think, is so important, because if you're going into a rent to rent, if you set up a break clause right with the right terms and conditions, not only does it protect the landlord like you, and that gave you comfort, but it also gives comfort to the rent to renter. Because if the landlord after 3 months goes, actually, thanks for putting all these tenants in, thanks for making the property nice, you know what, you're fired, depending on who tries to terminate the contract, you need to make sure that both parties are looked after, and you've got something in writing or something clear to say no one's going to be out of pocket.
Yeah. Okay. So as a general principle, it's very important that you're not just doing business to earn something. You also need to make sure it's a win-win.
Yes.
That it's a principle which if you go in it for yourself, then you're going to do business one time. But if you take care of clients, a bit like what you did, you send me the keys immediately, then I know that next time if I have someone asking me, who do I ask for rent to rent, I'll say, this guy came, approached me, I withdrew, but actually he was really gentleman, and I think he's a good guy to work with, and I would recommend you to this guy, even though I didn't work with you. So, and then maybe 5 other people would come to me, and I would recommend you to them as well. So when you act in a decent way with people, then they will remember it. And I guess why am I saying this? It's because when you're renting to rent, you should really be mindful of the landlord's concerns, because I mean, it doesn't show really in the video because it was cut, of course, but I asked you lots of questions, and you gave me lots of assurances as to how you would take care of the property, and what I can do if things go wrong, if things went wrong.
Yeah, but it's funny as well, because I really believe that the reason I was able to win over this deal, and the reason I can win a lot of deals, and the point I was trying to prove in doing this video in the first place when I went to London, is that anybody, regardless of your experience and background and wealth, anybody can go out and hustle, and with the right knowledge and the right business confidence and the right ability to be able to come up with win-win deals, anybody can go and secure a rent to rent. And fair enough, like this particular deal that we did after a few days, when you realized who I was and how the setup was going to be a bit different to what you thought if I was an individual, you know, we decided that actually this wasn't the best deal. But the actual ability to be able to go out and secure landlords, and it's funny because I didn't just meet you on that day. I met a lot of landlords. I met agents, and as a result of that, I've gone on to do other deals. I met agents that were like, "Oh, we'll give you rent to rent." It's so doable, and I did not on that day go and show off about, "Oh, this is my experience, I just went from scratch with the knowledge and the confidence and the ability to strike a deal." And I think that was the point of the video, and that was the reason why I did it. It was to show what's possible, and to kind of try my best to eliminate excuses from people who say, "I can't do it because I've not got much money, or I've not got a proper company with staff, or I've not got a good reputation yet." That was the reason I did it.
Of course. My 2 cents is that you were lucky on that day because you met how many landlords did you speak with on that day?
I spoke to, oh man, I spoke to probably about 20. I went and saw maybe 7, and I spoke to agents.
Okay, because you filmed how many did you film? I think you filmed
Lots. I filmed lots on that. Even on that one day, there's video footage of me walking cold into estate agencies and letting agents, and they're shaking my hand at the end, saying, "Yes, we'll pass you rent-to-rent deals." From scratch.
Yeah. So I guess I was going to say you were lucky that on the first day you had a good deal, a handshake. Even though later it didn't, I changed my mind. But
the better you get and the more you practice, the luckier you get.
Of course.
But you are correct. You are correct. Why is it taking me so long to get you on the channel? That's what I want to know.
Sorry, I owe you an apology, and you know this. One of your team got in touch with me, and I ignored it because I didn't recognize their name and I didn't even open their email, and I was too busy.
You know what though? In all seriousness, I know that we've not met in person. We're now on Skype since that day. But the thing is, you coming on this channel, there's nothing in it for you. You've come on just giving your time voluntary to share from a landlord's experience how to help make this industry better. So I really value you coming on and sharing from the position of a landlord. I really, really, really value that. And I hope that this message gets out there and touches people, inspires people, and also gives people the ability to be able to be a professional that comes up with true win-win deals.
Thank you. You know what? There's more I want to say, because when I wanted to say you were lucky, I guess for me it's important to make it clear that when I started out in property, I had to approach many different people in order to secure a really good. I buy properties below market value. I had to view like 200 properties before I found a really good deal. So that's why I asked you how many landlords you met on the day, because it takes time, it takes a lot of practice, and actually property is in some ways it's hard work. When you're really good at it, it becomes easy, but it might not take lots of time, but it might take a lot of energy and focus. So yeah, property is hard and easy at the same time.
I totally agree. And you're not going to just pick up the phone 3 times and then strike a deal. You're going to have to speak to more people again and again. And then even when you do strike a deal, things fall out of bed. Like literally, probably 70% of property deals where I put an offer in on it's accepted, 70% of them probably fall out of bed or at some point. So, and you need to discipline your disappointment when that happens and just keep going and follow the process.
And you'll have landlords like me who later change their mind and drop out, and you have to decide, do I enforce this or do I not? And if you don't, then you lose out on the deal, like you did on the deal.
I've just had it this morning. I've literally just come off the phone before I jumped on this call with you, and it was a deal that was going through, and the vendor I was buying has just said, I've had a little bit of change of circumstances. Can you come back in a few months because I just want to reassess my options. Now, my job is to just let her off the hook. Give her a get out of jail card and be really easy on it, because then in 3 weeks time, if she thinks actually I do want to sell it again, she's going to come back to me because I made her life easy. If I put pressure on her and say, no, you need to sell it to me, she's not going to sell it to me. She's just going to feel bad, feel awkward, and then never want to speak to me ever again.
Of course. We're dealing with humans at the end of the day, so.
Yeah, listen, man, your massive respect. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And anytime you have any properties that you want to do business, you have any of those BMV deals, you know, you've got my number, man. Give me a shout, give me a call. And I wish you all the very best in your property journey.
Cheers, man. Likewise. All the best.
Hopefully that's given you a little bit of an idea about what a landlord thinks about rent to rents. And now when you go and approach landlords, you have an idea about where they're coming from to offer them a win-win rent to rent deal that's going to give you cash flow, that's going to give them an easy life. What about when you're approaching agents though, when you're approaching letting agencies? Well, as you've seen on my financial freedom challenges, I've secured rent to rents from scratch with letting agencies. So if you haven't seen the interview of me and Eleanor, I would highly suggest that you check that interview out. I'll give you a little sneak preview now, but click on the link for more, check it out, subscribe, like the channel, enjoy. You're a letting agent. You own a letting agency.
Yes.
Did not know that I was Samuel Leeds.
I don't know. I was short with you on the phone.
Right now, we're sat inside one of my new apartments.
Yes.
Which you secured for me through the landlord.
Yes.
What was it about either me or about the situation, that made you confident